So I'm still learning redstone. Mostly I'm trying to learn because of the Autocrafter and all that stuff. I have an idea I think would be really cool, but this is Tileable Autocrafters, kind of based on Azuma's design. So essentially what Azuma's design does is it keeps your crafter entirely full, and then we get more stuff in your hopper. It just crafts everything because it's locked if any of the hoppers are empty. And so once you have the right materials, it crafts it. But where this differs from Azuma's design is a timer. Usually there's a timer down here. And so I figured if you're making it tileable, if you're having multiple of these, why not have everything on the same timer, right? So by having everything on the same timer, you don't need to do any sort of tinkering around with that, and of course, that makes this just like stupid easy. But currently this is just an etho hopper clock. It's set to 6 items in each. Honestly, I don't really know how hopper clocks work too well, so I just put extra items in there just to be safe. And so the timer has to be essentially the longest time it would take to craft one. So let's just say it would be like an iron block. You need the hopper to go 9 times before that. And so say if this clock was like, this is 6 items, so in theory it should be like 12 hopper movements. But it doesn't quite work like that, and I'm not sure why, so that's why I added a little extra on that. So we have all the sizes here. We have 4. 5 would just be this extra circuit here. You just mirror that on the other side. And so this would be 4 items. One example of that is a piston, or hell, even a fucking autocrafter if you wanted. There's the 3 item ones where you use 3 different items. Some examples are blast furnace, activator rail, all that garbage. And there's a lot of stuff with like 2 wide ones, and even more with 1 item. So for 2 item, there's like the smithing table, the stuff, shields, armor, tools. All that stuff kind of falls under this stuff, and unfortunately with the 1 wide autocrafters, you can't really, you can't have them 1 by 1 is the thing. I think there's designs to do that, I think by Mysticat, I believe, but as far as I'm aware, if you want, all of these have this like overflow system. So let's say I crafted too many cauldrons. Okay, well, now it's gonna actually stop, but now it's just not crafting because there's also this overflow detection. But as far as I'm aware, it'd be really hard to have an overflow detection for a 1 wide one. And also, yeah, because it requires this for the signal strength and all that. And an easier 1 wide thing would like require reservers, blah 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 blah. This is just the design I thought was good based on Azuma's, but I don't know, I'm pretty happy with this. Also by eliminating the timer, Azuma's had this weird design where you have like even more. You need a signal strength of 2 to basically guarantee that you're not going to overflow your system. By having a longer timer, you don't have to worry about the overflow at all. So how would you load this thing up? I think it's pretty self-explanatory what's going on here, especially if you watched Azuma's video. Oh. Yeah. So there's I think it's easiest to see on this one here, where it's 1 here. Like, this is what would be in the middle of every single one. One side has to have a redstone block, there's a comparator, and then when that's powered, aka it's full, it just goes to this line and disables it. And the torches also disable it, and that's when a hopper is empty. Oh my god. I think you get the point. When this hopper would be empty from no more items, we would also power and disable that. And so basically all the expansions of this come down to how do you add the torch in a way that's tileable. And so for 2 wide, it's using a repeater here to move a torch over. And for 3 wide, you don't need to move it over at all because they all power this thing here, and they can't power the one next to it. And then with the 4 or 5 wide, you do this thing with the torch again, where you power it this way. So how would you go about actually like filling up these things? Let's just say we want to craft an autocrafter. And so we have the recipe here. What's important though is we need this hopper to be this hopper to be very specific. Before we even allow this thing to accept items, we gotta put crafting tables and droppers in. Make sure they're full. Well, any 2 items or any 2 slots of different types of items need to be full. I'm just gonna put dropper and crafting table here. And then what you need to do is you need to do a dropper and crafting table here. That way, both items can flow through the hoppers. And yeah, this comparator will be powered, but the one next to it won't. So it still acts as a failsafe. Honestly, I'm not completely sure if this seed trick works, but if it wouldn't, this just needs to be all crafting tables. I guess if you ran out of crafting, I don't know. Either way, I'm not super certain about the 4 or 5 wide ones, but the 3 wide, like the 3 separate types of items, the 2 separate types of items, and the 1 separate type of items, those are pretty consistent. I'm not sure about the 4 wide ones, to be honest, just thinking about it a little. But I think generally the biggest flaw of this, of course, is that you need to keep all these items full essentially for it to start crafting anything. But these tileable things are basically meant for like industrial sized things where you have like a iron farm attached to it. So eventually you're gonna fill all this up and then you're gonna have extra iron and then it will start crafting, blah blah blah. So hopefully this wasn't too hard to explain. But I've been trying to learn redstone. I think this will actually become really useful for my specific use of this, where I think my end goal is to have like one massive, like a bunch of farms connected, making as many different types of items as possible. So hopefully this will come to great use. Maybe other people find use to it. I'll probably forward Azuma this just so he sees a different take on his design. Yeah, so I think credit would be like the Etho Hopper clock. This is based on Azuma's thing, and I think I mentioned like Mistcat or something for some other ways you could do the 1 wide crafter. Because you can make this tileable, you just can't have overflow protection. Like there's other designs to make this 1 wide with 1 item, but in order to have this overflow protection, you need to have it 2 wide. So hopefully that's explained, like hopefully I explained it well enough to the nerds that will actually need to know how this works. Yeah, I guess that'll be it. Thanks for watching.